Hey, what's up everybody? So Street Fighter 6 might just dropped, but we're already getting some crazy tech, and I found an amazing tweet from a really strong player and like amazing lab monster in Japan. His name is LOXO. I'm going to pull up that tweet and I'm going to link it to the description of this video because it is amazing. Let's load up the tweet right now. All right, so I'm not going to translate this live because it's going to take me a long time to actually translate everything word for word. I made notes. But here's what he basically says is, before you learn set play, I think you should learn something that'll be more directly related to your actual results rather than just set play. So first of all, he's saying, let's look at what Mai can do in her strongest position, which is when she has you in the corner after a throw. So he says your opponent basically has 4 different options, and they're right here. Let me load this up. So after you do throw, forward dash, when you're +3 as Mai, you have 4 basic options, no matter what character you are. You can do a throw, like a throw tech, and he says if Mai walks back and shimmies, you die. You can backdash, you can jump forward, or you can do an invulnerable move, right? And that's basically all the options against most throw loops in this game, right? You do this, Mai forward dashes, she's +3, so your opponent's options, you as the defender, or me as the Mai playing and trying to counter my opponent's wake-up options, they have 4 options, right? Throw tech, backdash, forward jump, invulnerable move. Or a 5th one, they can basically just block, but that's not really like an active thing, so we're going to leave that out for now. And LOXO here didn't include that in his list. And another really interesting point that LOXO brings up, he says right here, he says, you should subscribe to the Chris F YouTube channel because if you do, you're going to become much better at Street Fighter 6. Do it within 9 frames, is what he just said. That's not what he said, but you guys get the idea, right? Let's look at the first thing. What can you do against opponents who just jump forward? So what we're going to do, we're going to set Ken to wake up forward jump. In Street Fighter 6, generally, forward jump is a pretty good option against throw loop pressure in the corner. Why? I know this isn't Mai, but we have to look at this first to kind of understand the whole thing before we go back to the Mai example. So we have Ken doing a forward jump after this throw loop. There. That's what usually happens in Street Fighter 6. You knock your opponent down, you go for a meaty throw, your opponent forward jumps, and then you, if you have a good anti-air move, you have to cross-cut DP them in the opposite direction. And that's strong because while the opponent does take some damage, they're able to get out of the corner just at the sacrifice of like 1,200 health, which isn't that much. So doing forward jump is actually pretty good as the defender. But Mai actually has a ton of better options against forward jump in the corner. And maybe you guys haven't seen this stuff yet, but I'm here to show you. There we go. Okay, so you do hard kick DP. Yeah, that's the same. 1,200 damage. What's the difference? Well, for Mai, doing DP isn't actually the best option because quarter circle back hard punch, this is actually a really good anti-air. So this is ridiculous. If they try to jump out of your throw loop, and you have flame stocks, and you have at least 2 bar, you get corner to corner, you can double dash forward, you're at least +4 after that, and they're basically back in the corner. So you go from side to side. I don't think there are any characters in the game that get... So that's what happens if they forward jump. But another reason why Mai's corner pressure is so incredibly good is because what happens if they backdash. Now, if you've been playing Mai, if you've been fighting against Mai, you'll know that doing backdash is actually pretty effective against this setup. Why is it effective? Because if you go for an immediate forward dash into throw, Mai's going to be -4, which means if the opponent, the Ken, did a backdash crouching light punch, it's going to be a punish counter against Mai. She can't block that. She's -4. So then Ken can do his combo, or any character could do a combo as long as they have like a 23 frame backdash. So a lot of people, what they'll do is they'll start to backdash against Mai. Well, what LOXO is saying is here's what you can do against backdash. So he says, so we need to find a move or a sequence of moves that let us block reversals while we can walk back. So against the people who do like wake up DP or wake up super. Next, beat delayed buttons from your opponent, because another really common option from your opponent is to do a wake up delayed, like crouching medium kick or crouching medium punch, something like this. So you knock down your opponent, and they do crouching medium kick, right? So you want to be able to beat something like that. You will walk backwards. And then last, you want to be able to hit the backdash out of its backdash recovery. So he says, in summary, what we need is a normal that you can delay with 9 frames or more to cover all of those options. And what move is that? It's going to be either standing hard punch or crouching medium punch. And you do a delayed standing hard punch, you're going to be able to catch their backdash. Then, let's say they do a wake up Shoryuken. You're going to delay your standing hard punch. So if they do the Shoryuken, you're still going to be in a block animation. But if they do the backdash, so it would look like this. There, that hits, then you could convert off this. You would either go into something like quarter circle back medium punch, quarter circle forward medium kick, or you can go to OD, on reaction go to level 1. So again, on reaction you would cancel with the OD move, and you get that. Really, really powerful. Then of course if they do a Shoryuken, because you're doing delayed timing, you'll be able to block that. Then, if they wake up with something, a delayed button, like a delayed crouching medium kick, let's say they delay this by a couple of frames to beat your shimmy timing, well, crouching medium punch will beat that. And crouching medium punch will also beat the backdash. So this is one of those things that's going to depend on the matchup and the buttons that they have, but generally, if you do either a delayed crouching medium punch or a delayed standing hard punch with Mai, that covers reversal, and it covers backdash, and it covers delayed buttons based on your timing. So then the next part of our risk reward, we already covered how to beat people who forward jump. We covered how to beat people who either wake up with a reversal, a backdash, or a delayed button. Now we have to think about how do we beat people who either wake up parry or do wake up reversal. So reversal timing things. So what LOXO says is this is a risk reward, but you basically have two choices. Okay, so you have to balance your risk reward. There's nothing we can never pick an option that's going to beat absolutely everything, but this says you have two main choices that you can work with. You either go for a meaty attack right away, or you go for what I just showed you, the 9-frame delayed move, either crouching medium punch or standing hard punch. And what this leads to, it forces us to gamble on two main things. So number one, do we do a meaty attack and risk getting parried or reversaled, but we beat mashers and jumpers? Number two, do we do a delayed button to be safe overall, but doing delayed button loses to jumpers? So let's take a look at that. So let's say we do a forward jump, and let's say I do that timing from before. There, now I'm not going to have enough time to anti-air. So doing the delayed, like the 9-frame delayed standing hard punch or crouching medium punch, it's going to lose to people who jump forward, right? So that's what it's weak against. And then the third thing he says is this is where reads come into play. So of course you have to kind of get a read on your opponent. You can't just always go for the same thing and always expect it to work. And that's where reads come in. But not only did LOXO give us such a really good overall idea of what you're supposed to do in the corner, he gave us a whole Excel spreadsheet about what to do exactly and when. So I'm going to pull it up. It's right here. Here it is, the Excel spreadsheet. Now this is in Japanese, so I don't think you guys can understand it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to translate this live. I'm going to type it into Excel and I'm going to show you. But this is what it looks like. Let me make it real big so you guys can see. No problem. You should be able to read that. These are your options. And what I think is really interesting about this is like, have you guys ever actually sat down and thought about this? Like, what are your options as the attacker and what are your opponent's options as the defender? And what is the risk reward after you choose each of those? Have you thought about that in your matchups yet, or how as you're learning the game and trying to get better? If you haven't, I think this is something incredibly important to do. This is a little, I'm going to be honest though, if you're more of a casual player and you're not like super sweaty, this is a bit much, like this is a pretty heavy ask to ask like a more casual or like somewhat lower MR player to go through. But if you're someone who's really trying to get better and really trying to win tournaments, I think thinking of stuff this way is super, super important. Definitely something you should check out with your main character against the cast. And think about your risk reward and what you get against different options from your opponent. Because, I mean, there are only so many things your opponent can do on defense, right? It's not like they have, like, limitless options. Really, they can only do block, backdash, forward jump, tech, reversal, fuzzy attack, fuzzy, and then perfect parry. That's really all they can do on wake up, right? Now, this is the best part of this whole write-up. This part right here. He gives a summary. This is a summary here. And I'm going to read this to you guys first. So he goes, options other than throw summary. So he summarized all the options you have other than just throw, forward dash, throw. Here are the options you have. He goes against average people. He didn't go as far as say scrubs, but he means like average players. And he says that's 90% of the opponents you're going to fight. Throw tech, no throw tech, and reversal. That's it. Your average player. If you notice, that's the kind of player you're fighting against. So against someone who never blocks, never parries, never backdashes, just either throw tech or reversal. Then he says against these kind of players, you should do you should walk back for a shimmy, but then only push your attack button if you see the throw come out. This Ken player, all he's going to do is either a wake up delayed throw tech or reversal. That's it. So you're going to go like this, walk back, and then just watch. And then if you see him actually whiff the throw, then you whiff punish. Otherwise, you don't push a button. You just walk back. Versus ranked bots. Do you guys want to call it versus ranked bots? Is that what we're going to do? Then he says against other players. He goes 9.9% of players are going to be, he says chanto shiru yatsu, which means players who play properly. Like people like regular players, like not bots, like people who are actually thinking. Like people who are playing the game or are trying to play the game properly. So versus smart people, these kind of players, you say they doesn't jump, usually backdashes. What are we supposed to do against these kind of people? Well, so you do a shimmy and you don't have to look at the screen. You don't have to react to anything. You just do a delayed standing hard punch. Or I guess crouching medium punch too, depending on the matchup. He didn't write that down, but I'm going to assume that's what he meant. So against players who jump forward a lot. And he said strong players tend to do this a lot. Like strong players, they know that forward jump, the risk reward is in their favor, so they tend to do this a lot. All right, so he goes against these players who do lots of forward jumps, do a meaty throw, but when you go for meaty throw, really look for the forward jump, attempt to anti-air them, and then as you keep on playing the match, be sure to mix up your Oki options. Don't always go for the same thing because they're smart and they're probably going to adjust their defense to kind of match you. But now we're at the last one, my favorite one, like the people who don't think about risk reward or anything, just people who completely play not random in a bad way. He means people who just like they loop their different options. They're not really thinking, oh, this person is going to probably go for this or they're probably going to go for that. They're just literally like looping RPS. It's like, imagine you're playing rock, paper, scissors and there's like no pattern to their play. They're just doing like rock, paper, 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 rock, paper, scissors, scissors, rock, scissors, paper, rock, paper, paper, scissors. They're just constantly looping this. Constantly looping the RPS. And he says that's against the 0.1% of players actually play like this. He says it's really, really rare. Because against these players, there are 3 things you're going to want to do. So number 1 is don't allow them to jump forward. So watch for fuzzy attacks and try to keep your advantage. And then last, there's not a big difference in health between you and your opponent, but you want to make them spend their drive meter on OD reversals, right? So he's saying against these people, he says the risk of getting perfect parried sucks, but even though getting perfect parry would suck in that situation, let's just go for a media attack anyways, because you know if they go for the reversal, they're going to be wasting their OD meter, and if you get the media and it works, you get a big reward off of it. And then the last one, my favorite one, he goes, people who don't know the my matchup, almost 100%. He says, forget everything else, forget everything I just said, just do OD fan on wake up. Then without running forward, like don't run forward, don't do anything, wait until the second fan hits them, and then just do like jury standing hard punch kind of play. Just poke at them with standing hard punch and see what they do. And it would look something like this. And then just do like standing hard punch there and see if they do something dumb afterwards. So I think the big takeaway from this, I don't really want to make this too much of like a my centered thing, because you could just take this whole format, this whole basic template, and apply this to any character in the game and think about what you could do on knockdown in the corner or even mid-screen, and what your options are, what the risk, what the reward is, and what not only what your options are, but what your opponent can do, and whether you'll win, lose, and how much will you win or lose. Will you only win by a little bit? Will you win by a lot? Will you lose by a little bit? Will you lose by a lot? Or will you be like equal, or like things that depend on timing? These are the kind of things you want to think about if you haven't thought about this already, especially if you're aiming for a higher level in Street Fighter 6. So big shout outs to LOXO. If you guys aren't following him and you can read Japanese, this is him right here. I'm going to leave his profile and a link in the description of this video, but by the time this video comes out, I will have a link for this. I'll make it like a Google Doc. Hopefully you guys can look at this, read it, and use it in your own play. That brings us to the end of this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you thought this was interesting, or if you learned something from this video, or if it showed you a new way to think about your pressure options in Street Fighter 6, let me know in the comments. And also don't forget to like and subscribe, because it helps support me as a content creator. And as always, thank you all so very much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.